All right, happy Super Bowl Sunday, everybody. Can I just say I really love the colors of this year's Super Bowl. Not the
Yeah, they
team.
are really
I
nice.
mean the blue, the red. You can see it above me and Jason here. You know, the logo kind of hidden behind ours, but um, I wish they'd come up with a new design besides just throwing the trophy in the background of every single one, but
I know.
I feel like that's kind of worn itself out at this point.
It kind of has. I mean, we really haven't seen that kind of design since probably 44 or 45. Actually,
I
no,
know.
44. I think 44 was the last one that had like the special design, and then 45 was where it kind of did this Roman numerals with like this trophy in the background, and they've kind of
See,
gone on with it ever since then.
they've
So
they've lost.
45 was like the last good one where they had like their own cool looking design and logo for the Super Bowl. Mm,
Yeah, I mean, like even the NBA, the NHL, they just followed suit. Do we not have graphic designers that can make new logos every year? To hype it up and whatnot. Now, I mean, the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals, I get because they're not played on a neutral site,
right.
but the rest, it's just ridiculous. But I digress. We got quite a bit to get to here, so of course we're going to go forward and talk about the Chiefs and the Eagles in a little bit. We're going to kind of cover how they got to the Super Bowl via the playoffs.
hmm
We'll also give our Super Bowl predictions, kind of our plans. We're not going to give away like where we are or any of that. We're just going to kind of give away, a little bit of details of what's going to happen on Super Bowl Sunday for us when we get out of work. Some of us, I believe, maybe both of us, I don't know. Um, but then, of course, our Super Bowl prediction. We will have Tinkle on this, which is not related to the Super Bowl, but I figured it was a good one that couldn't wait a week to be shared. But let's begin with the NFL honors and, of course, the Hall of Fame inductees, because I feel that's a very big part of Super Bowl week right here. Of
hmm
course, the biggest award we know, and I'll read off all the awards first. Patrick Mahomes has won his second league MVP. Um, Nick Bosa, Justin Jefferson, they won Defensive and Offensive Players of the Year, respectively. The New York Jets have become the first team to sweep Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year since 2017 when Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore did it. And of
hmm
course, the Jets did so with Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. Um, Geno wins Comeback Player of the Year. I'll give my thoughts once I finish reading it off. D'Amico Ryans, he won the Coaching Assistants Award, while Dable won Head Coach of the Year. And then, of course, Man of the Year, Dak Prescott. Congratulations, the most giving guy in all of football. Um, Not just off the field, but on the field, he's the most giving guy.
Oh, come on.
It's the truth. Look at how many turnovers he had this year.
That's funny.
Oh man, it's
Um,
only fitting.
okay,
So let's get your
before
thoughts
we
first.
really okay, so before we really get onto like talking about maybe the top and then working our way down, I'm kind of shocked that they have an assistant of the year award because to my knowledge, I don't think of all the years prior, I don't think I ever remember them having an assistant coach of the year award.
You know what? But I
To
kind
be
of
honest
like
with
it
you.
because the coordinators. Some teams the coordinators do a lot more work than the head coach.
That is true. That
Okay,
is true.
so I like it. I think it should stay. If it's it should be the future of the game. It's again, these guys are, like D'Amico Ryans, he's calling defensive plays.
hmm
Brian Dable a couple of years ago was running the whole offense in Buffalo.
Right. I think he still was in, well, maybe not in New York, but I'm pretty sure he was still helping out with the offense in New York, even though he wasn't actually the main play caller. So I guess I'll talk about um, Mahomes in the second MVP award. To be honest with you, it was kind of given. I kind of figured it was going to happen because you throw 5,000 yards and you throw over 40 touchdowns, you kind of guaranteed a MVP award at this rate.
I mean,
To be honest with you, I'm kind of shocked he even had an MVP like season. I mean, no Tyreek Hill, just Travis Kelsey. He had two subpar receivers. He had, I mean, Jerick McKinnon. Yeah, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but to be honest with you, most of the second half of this year it was Pacheco, the rookie running back there.
hmm,
So I guess congratulations to Patrick Mahomes, but to be honest with you, I just don't see you winning an MVP again. I think that maybe if Kansas City will go back to reality maybe next year, who knows? But I guess congratulations. But if you look at it this way, there's a lot of bad track record with MVPs that have won the award that have gone to the Super Bowl. They haven't won the last nine.
yeah, something like that. I think Kurt Warner's the last one to have won.
Yeah, it hasn't been done since 1999. So a lot of these MVP quarterbacks going into the Super Bowl have not had a great track record as of late. So maybe we don't know if maybe Mahomes can break that trend, but it doesn't seem very promising.
I mean, this is a good Eagles team, and of course, we'll get into that in a moment. In terms of Patrick Mahomes, let's face it, and please forgive my language, but it seems like the NFL writers just have a hard-on for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
Um, you know, because let's face it, again, Kelsey's done a lot of the work too. It's not just Mahomes there. I
mhm.
mean, to me, it was Jalen Hurts, whether the award was given to him or not. It's, his value was met. It showed what his value was when he was away. Um, Nick Bosa, I'm not surprised he had a hell of a year. Justin Jefferson, again, you could have argued for him being MVP. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
but a lot of times MVP is a very quarterback driven award.
yeah,
So and then offensive player of the year is usually wide receiver, running back. I mean, that's pretty much like a wide
oh yeah,
receiver, running back kind of award, to be honest with you.
oh yeah. But what I
And
will,
then defensive player of the year is usually defensive back or anybody on that
yeah,
defense kind of award.
and Sauce, by the way, as far as going on to defensive rookie of the year, I mean Garrett Wilson. I feel like offensive rookie could have gone anyway, but I feel like Sauce Gardner had this defensive rookie of the year locked up
No, yeah, he
after
definitely did it. As
you
soon
know
as he got drafted by the Jets, he was pretty much like a
he's
lock up.
dangerous.
I mean, because to be honest with you,
Okay,
I think he shut up a lot of doubters because everybody's like, well, can you do the same thing he did in college in the NFL? And well, he kind
and
of proved that.
and he's
He
and he's very comparable to a guy who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, who we will talk about in just a moment.
right.
Um,
To be
but
honest with you, it kind of made sense with maybe Garrett Wilson because he was
hmm,
very consistent all year, and then he played just about I
I
think every single game for the Jets.
I think just the fact that he had like 4 or 5 different quarterbacks throwing him to him this year, and the fact that he did this well, should have given him offensive rookie of the year right there.
Oh, I know. I
Um,
mean, he had Zach Wilson, he had Mike White, Joe Flacco. Uh,
they had that other guy too, Strevler, I
yeah,
believe his name was, or
think
something.
so. There's four
Reverend
different
Strevler.
guys that
Um,
played quarterback for the Jets. So
can I just point out, and this is my biggest frustration. I mean, this frustration's bigger than Patrick Mahomes winning MVP. Why is Gino? The comeback player of the year award should be. I don't know. To me, the definition of it is a player that comes back from an injury and performs at a top level. What
yeah,
Geno Smith did was more most improved player.
I really do think that the NFL needs to have a most improved player award.
I feel like that would alleviate a lot of this, because I mean, I can't think of who
Because
else is in the
honestly, if he
comeback player of
did,
the year.
he definitely 100% is a most improved player because
Mhm.
of all the previous seasons that he has played in the NFL, have not had numbers like he had this year.
Yeah.
You know, he basically was the leading like NFC MVP
Mhm.
because he just put up crazy amount of numbers and got his first ever Pro Bowl nod because of it.
Mhm.
Very well deserved. I mean, he worked his ass off to get the Seahawks to
Yeah.
a playoff berth. I mean,
And he
even though
played.
everybody didn't think that Geno Smith and the Seahawks were even going to get anywhere close to it. So, to be honest with you, I mean, I think he deserves to be, MIP.
And he put
Um,
them in an awkward situation because this was a team who brought in Gino, or rather kept Gino because Gino was the backup the year before.
yeah,
And the goal was just to try to get the number one pick. I believe everyone on, even the sports writers were saying the goal was to get the number one pick for the Seahawks. And then potentially, maybe not, Pete Carroll steps aside. And not only did Geno Smith just, resurrect his career, but he
he
also
kind of
saved his
saved.
coach's career.
I was gonna say he saved Pete Carroll's
Yeah, he saved Pete
job. To
Carroll's
be honest,
ass.
yeah.
Right.
To be honest with you, I think I said it previous episode or like a couple previous episodes ago that
Mhm.
Christian McCaffrey would have made the most sense for comeback player of the
Yeah,
year. And I think he
that's
should
who
have
I
won
was
it.
thinking of earlier. You should
Christian
have.
McCaffrey should have won that award because he was hurt last year. He came back at a high level. I mean, he looked pretty good with Carolina, but as soon as he got traded to San Fran, look where he
Yeah,
went.
but he played
He
like a
helped that
guy that
team
we knew he was capable of in San Fran.
exactly. And Christian
Yeah.
McCaffrey literally helped put that damn team on his back. They went 10-1 with Christian McCaffrey
I would
after that trade.
I would
He was
even
literally the
oh,
reason why they were winning games in the first place.
and here's the thing, you could also vouch maybe for Saquon Barkley for comeback player of the year because ever
Yes
since
and
his
no.
injury, he's been, he was very shaky the last year in the last 2
I
years.
will say that he was a
Like,
1,000 yard rusher for the
mm,
first time in a long time.
yeah.
Probably I think since his like rookie season
I
or something like
I
that, or
mean,
second year in the league.
but he was
But
back to top form like he was before the injury. Ever since the
right,
injury, he had been kind of shaky, not really that good. Um,
I know it was actually nice to see Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey perform at a very high level because you thought, are they going to be able to, play almost a whole entire season? Are they going to be able to perform at a high level again? It was nice to actually see them not get hurt, play almost the whole entire season, and
yeah.
play at a very high level and being two of the better rushers that they are known well for.
Mhm.
Because when they kept on getting hurt, you thought, are they going to be injury prone? Are they ever going to, be able to play at a top level? But it was nice to see Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey healthy because now it's like, makes you wonder, okay, for fantasy drafts, are they going to be the top two, you know,
Mhm.
running backs you want to try to
Yeah.
go after? That's going to make you wonder, like, are they back to being those top players to go after next year?
Mhm.
They might be. But the
Oh yeah.
problem is, every time you think so, then it's like you draft them and then they get hurt. It's like
I mean,
it
we'll have
sucks.
more next season, obviously, on
Oh,
fantasy.
of course.
Um,
As far as Geno Smith, I guess congrats.
yeah,
I mean,
congrats. I mean, there's no doubt you deserve an award for your efforts. I'm not
can't come back
saying
to the player of
I'm
the
not
year.
saying he doesn't. It's just I'm saying that I don't know, maybe my definition, maybe our definition of comeback and the NFL's definition of comeback might be a little bit different.
Yeah, because I could have swore when that award first came out, it was an award that was you know like when a player comes back from injury and performs at a very high level. That's what at least used to be. Now apparently they changed it where it could be any player that like comes back from being, terrible and then puts together like great numbers, then if that's the case, then it's kind of like it's like a second MVP award, but it's called Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah,
You know what
and
I mean?
I don't know. Like I
It's
said,
kind of like it's like a oh well, you're not going to be the MVP, but here's a secondary award for you, Comeback Player of the Year kind of award
yeah.
for you. It just makes
Uh,
no sense to me.
Now, Man of the Year. Now, we did talk about D'Amico Ryans. We already
Oh
gave
yeah,
our thoughts on that.
100% deserves to be
Brian
Assistant of
Dable.
the Year.
Brian Dable, though, and I will say this was, of all the coaches, so well deserved.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Um, to be honest with you, the turnaround the Giants from being basically a laughing stock of the NFC East to actually
mhm,
being able to one get a playoff berth and let alone actually get a
mhm,
victory against a team that you thought they were going to
yeah.
lose easily to. Hey,
It went from NFC. They turned that division, not just them, but the Eagles, and frankly, even the Washington Commanders have turned that division from the NFC least to the NFC beast.
yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, it's scary
It
now,
makes
and
you
keep in mind, we
wonder.
still don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be for the Commanders. We know that Mike McCarthy is going to be calling plays for the Cowboys, but
Right.
but Brian Dable again. I mean,
Maybe
you know,
Dable. He
he
could probably go.
he
He could
proved me
probably run.
wrong. When we hired Brandon Staley, I remember telling you right here, I'm like, I don't want I don't want Brian Dable. I don't think he's that good. I feel like Staley's the best option. I had said that, and I remember it, and man, I'm kicking myself in the butt over it.
I figured that Dable was going to be a good coach because honestly, if he can, help turn around Buffalo's luck offensively, I think I can't see why he couldn't do it in
Hmm.
New York.
Yeah.
And if you can honestly, I look at it this way: if you can turn around Daniel Jones and actually make him into a somewhat decent quarterback, I think you deserve to win Coach of the Year.
Hmm.
I
Um,
mean, he took a team that doesn't really have very much star power other than maybe Saquon Barkley and made them into a playoff
yeah.
team. And I think that alone deserves to win the Coach of the Year.
Yeah. And to take Daniel Jones from nothing to, I guess, QB2 on some rosters is
Right.
impressive. Um, so, again, great work for Brian Dable. I don't want to get too much in the man of the year, but I will say Dak, again, the most giving guy in football on and off the field. So, congratulations to him. This one's a shocker because I think Patrick Mahomes had a pretty big lead in this
To be
award.
honest with you, and I know, you know, it's cool that's Dak Prescott,
Hmm.
but I think you should have gave it to Damar Hamlin off of the Chase and
He
M's.
did. He did. He did get an award, but keep in mind this is voted for by the fans, and Patrick Mahomes already had a substantial lead.
No. I mean, I'm talking about like Peyton Man, Walter Payton Man of the
Yeah,
Year
that's what I'm
award.
talking about. That's fan vote.
It should have been Damar because you
Bills
know.
Mafia should have done more. I don't know if he was even the nominee for the Bills, to be honest, because the team nominates a player
Oh
every
no,
year.
it wasn't. I think it was like Deion Dawkins or something like
Yeah,
that.
so he couldn't have gotten it either way this
Yeah,
year. Next year, maybe.
maybe.
Um, DeMar did get an award, by the way, from the Associated Press for his chasing M's, so that's good. And then the other update is he'll be back to playing football, it looks like. Just don't know when.
Probably not next year. I would think the year after.
Yeah, I could see that. Um, But yeah, so Dak won that award. Congratulations to him. Again, I thought Patrick Mahomes had that award locked up too. But goes to show you. Hall of Fame inductees were also announced for the class of 2023. And they include Rondé Barber, Don Coryell, Chuck Howley, Joe Klecko, Darrelle Revis. Of course, I mentioned Sauce Gardner's comparisons earlier. Well, now he's compared to a new Hall of Famer in Darrelle. Ken Riley, Joe Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, and there's a reason I skipped over this guy because they've done it for 10 years to him, and it's about damn time Zach Thomas has made the Hall of Fame. 10
I will say
years.
Darrelle Revis and Joe Thomas makes the most sense, but Zach Thomas, it makes no sense why it took so long for him to finally get in.
Revis, 100% was a first ballot.
But definitely
There's
DeMarcus
no
Ware.
denial there.
DeMarcus Ware was one hell of a pass rusher
DeMarcus
for Dallas and Denver.
Yeah, DeMarcus should have gotten in sooner. But Zach Thomas, I mean, you can't make that argument versus Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas just sat there for years watching these players bitch about not making it on the first ballot. And he's like, bitch, please, I'm on like 7 or 8 right now.
Yeah, okay. Zach Thomas, one hell of a linebacker for the Miami Dolphins. I mean,
you know, after the 6th or 7th, or after not even that, after the 4th or 5th, if you just become a finalist all those years, that's just a bitch slap. I'm sorry, that's a bitch slap.
I agree.
Frankly, I mean, you know, Terrell Owens didn't show up to his because he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Zach Thomas should have been that guy to say, fuck you, I'm not coming to the ceremony. But
yeah, right.
Of anybody, he's the one who should be acting that way. But, you know, that's Terrell Owens, and you expect nothing less of him.
I know this is, you know, like, totally opposite of sports, but it's kind of like when Judas Priest got snubbed for Bon Jovi going to the hall, you know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well,
it's kind of like
Bon Jovi deserves to be there too, but not.
I agree, but like, you know, Judas Priest has been around since the 70s. Bon Jovi's been around since the 80s. It's kind of like a slap in the face that somebody gets in that have come after you when you've come before them. You know, I just don't know. But as far as this one goes, you know, congratulations, Zach Thomas. Finally, after 10 years of waiting, you finally got in. Darrelle Revis and Joe Thomas, I guess they deserve a first ballot because they were very revolutionary players. I mean, Joe Thomas was one hell of a offensive lineman for the Browns for many years. Darrelle Revis was the best shutdown corner for the Jets.
Yeah.
And then I think he also played for one other team as well. I don't think it was just the Jets.
And if Sauce continued... Well, he played for Tampa Bay as well after his ACL injury.
Right.
But, yeah, like, Darrelle Revis, of course, Revis Island, he was well known as that. You know, again, there's nobody that compares to him. Maybe Sauce in a couple of years could be comparable to that.
Who knows? I mean, hopefully it's not just like a 1-year type of deal for Sauce Gardner, because I think they found a diamond in the rough and found their next Darrelle Revis in Sauce Gardner, because he shut down a lot of good receivers this year, and he's just a rookie.
Yeah. Don't get swept away in it like Jalen Ramsey.
He was one of the best, you know, defensive ends during his time in the NFL. I mean, of course, we all know about him winning Super Bowl 50 with the Denver Broncos. And then, actually, I don't know if it was Super Bowl 50. I think he was there for Super Bowl...
It was 50.
Was it 50?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was both Super Bowls with the Broncos, to be honest with you. He lost against the Seahawks and won against the Panthers. And then, of course, you know about all of his times with... many years with the Dallas Cowboys before that time, where he was able... You know, top sack, you know. I mean, he's not a sack leader, but he got multiple different sacks between both of those teams. I think he definitely deserves to be in it because he was a threat anytime he was on that defensive line.
Now, there's a reason I'm wearing this. Of course, I don't know much about. Well, I know a lot about Rondé Barber. Before I switch gears here, Don Coryell, Chuck Howley, Joe Klecko, Ken Riley. I don't know too much about them, but they certainly had a big impact in the game, and they deserve to be in as well. But
Right.
there's a reason I'm wearing this jersey
Sure. Oh, because he's
because the first ballot or the first ballot candidates for 2024 have been announced. And this guy and Peppers, Julius Peppers, are both highlighting that class.
Oh, I think they'll both make it first ballot.
There's just no way they don't, honestly.
I mean, I would think probably Julius Peppers more than Antonio Gates, but Antonio Gates was a very revolutionary tight end for the Chargers as well as.
He was no
Actually,
Tony Gonzalez. He was never a Tony Gonzalez. But
right.
he was our most valuable receiver that wasn't a receiver.
Yeah.
So I don't see how he doesn't get in because he put up wide receiver numbers for years. Of course, later years he wasn't as effective, but again, I mean, he was no Tony Gonzalez, but he was the next closest match to Tony Gonzalez.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I want to say like both could be, first ballot Hall of Famers in their first year of eligibility. But the problem is that I just think that maybe because of Julius Peppers and the kind of career he had, might want up Antonio Gates. But I want to say I could be right about them both being in at the same time. But I want to say maybe Julius Peppers.
What could hurt Antonio Gates is the latter years when he did get caught using PEDs one year. That could hurt Antonio, but it's not baseball, so they could just very well overlook it.
I want to say if he's not first ballot, I want to say maybe second or third ballot.
If he's not first, he better be second, because if not, then we better go back and be sure that we better be sure that when Travis Kelce and Gronk go in, that they are not first ballot, because before those guys, there was Antonio Gates. And
Right, exactly.
Antonio Gates is without question one of the better tight ends to not win a ring. But with that, I think now's a good time to take our anchor break before we flip over to getting us ready for the big game. So, of course, we'll talk the big game in just a moment here when we come back on Sunday Morning Tinkle Super Bowl edition. All right, here we go. Super Bowl time. Well, we got it's 9:30 right now. If you guys are watching the premiere, it's 9:30 right now, so about 8 hours till the Super Bowl. So of course, Chiefs and Eagles will face off, but we got the question of how did they get there. Of course, we know the Eagles went 14-3 in the regular season. Of course, they managed to beat the Giants and the 49ers to advance, held them both to only 7 points. No team in the playoffs has scored more than 7 points against them this year.
I mean, the crazy thing is, they killed the Giants, and then they won against a 49ers team that was very banged up. Quarterbacks were hurt. You had Brock Purdy that was hurt with the elbow. We talked about it last show where it was confirmed that he's going to have
Tommy John surgery.
Tommy John surgery, going to be out the whole entire 2023-2024 season. Then Josh Johnson came in. Then he had to get taken out because he had a concussion. And then Brock Purdy came back in the game. But I bet you a lot of fans could say, well, Brock Purdy wasn't 100%. He was playing hurt, so it's tough to throw him back out there. But unfortunately, the 49ers had no choice. That's it. I have to throw Brock Purdy out there, regardless if he was fully healthy or not, because he was the only active quarterback on the roster, other than maybe Jimmy Garoppolo. If
No, it was Juszczyk, I believe, was their emergency quarterback.
or maybe Christian McCaffrey too, but it just really sucks. But the Giants, they just looked like they weren't ready to even go up against the Eagles at all, because the Eagles just went into that game and just dominated the Giants. So if you look at maybe the Giants compared to the Chiefs, or the Eagles compared to the Chiefs, maybe the Eagles had a better, easier run. But then again, you look at it like just maybe they're just the more dominant team,
See,
offensively and defensively.
yes, the Eagles battled teams with injuries and battled a Giants team that was kind of the Cinderella story, but it's
Uh huh.
still a divisional game. They
Right.
still had to fight. Was it? I mean, the second game against the Giants, was the tightest game they played all year, like against that team. So you can't, and that was week 18. So you can't say, or rather, it was week 1. My mistake. But still, or no, wait, yeah, it was week 18. My mistake. Sorry, this is very confusing the way ESPN has it laid out. But both teams finished 14-3. Um, and of course, the Eagles just put together a good defense. Ultimately, they held their
I mean,
opponents 7 points per game.
right.
The only teams that scored more than 30 on them all year were the Cowboys, the
I
Packers,
will say, I think the
and the
Chiefs had a
Lions.
rougher time to get to the Super Bowl than the Eagles did. Eagles just dominated their teams. The Chiefs had a battle with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then they had a battle with the Bengals just to even win both of those games. I think the Chiefs got to the Super Bowl more so off of luck than skill. Eagles kind of just more so got there off of skill, maybe some luck too.
Yeah,
But you know,
I mean, my thoughts are the Chiefs. First off, the Chiefs got handed a number 1 seed they didn't deserve.
I agree.
Plain and simple. They got a number 1
I
seed
agree.
they didn't earn, and thus they got wins that they didn't earn either.
Yeah.
Okay, they beat up on, was it in the first round of the playoffs, they barely beat a Jacksonville team that's just as creative offensively and has just as good of a quarterback. Frankly, if it was the Dolphins could have beat the Chiefs that week.
Yeah, I would
I
say
could
so.
vouch for that. Then they went up against the Bengals. They got lucky on a 15-yard penalty and quite a few penalties at the end to get the win, to get into field goal range to get the win. So, now they go against Carl Cheffers, which everyone in Kansas City hates Carl Cheffers as a referee because they believe, oh, he's got something against Kansas City. So, boy, if the odds couldn't go in Kansas City's favor, what I would say is this. There's a few other things that don't go in his favor. Jason mentioned earlier MVP has not won the Super Bowl the last
Since
9 times.
1999,
Yeah, since 1999. Um,
before the well, of course we're in a different decade of
yeah.
the 2020s, but it has been done since almost like what,
Mhm.
two
No,
decades ago.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But then there's that. You got the Chiefs fans crying because when they're not handed calls on a silver plate, they're gonna bitch about the referee, and they bitch about Carl Cheffers every second they get. And then number 3, Guess whose jersey is on the Rocky Balboa statue yet again?
Yep, a Chiefs jersey.
As if they didn't learn the first time. And also add in, we don't know what Drake's going to bet yet. But if
That's true.
Drake bets the Chiefs, now granted, Drake bet the Chiefs the last game, but if he bets them again, I mean, he's not going to get lucky twice in a row. I mean, that's four things. That's four things besides the spread that go against Kansas City, that go against Kansas City in terms of voodoo, if you believe in voodoo.
Right.
But with that, man, I'm looking forward to this game. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's gonna be a very back and forth contest. I think it's gonna be where it comes down to like literally the last possession of the game.
I mean, we got a while till our pick, so I'm gonna ask you to save that. But
okay. But honestly, thoughts of the matchup? I mean, I will say I think the Chiefs had a rougher go to get to the Super Bowl than the Eagles did. Keys to the game for both. I say the Eagles defense. You got to stop Mahomes in that offense. And if you're the Chiefs, you got to do anything you can to handle them point by point.
Can't come in here thinking that Patrick Mahomes' ankle is still bad. He was not on the injury report this week, so clearly that's not an issue anymore. Okay, the biggest thing is that you've got to stop Travis Kelce. You take Travis Kelce out of this offense, I think you've got a really good shot at it.
I still think there's a lot more.
Ask Jason what his brother can't handle. Okay,
yeah, right.
The man grew up with him, for God's sakes.
And they both played on the same college team together too in Cincinnati. I think for like maybe a couple years because Jason's actually the oldest by 2 years.
Yeah.
He's 35 and Travis is 33.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, of course, as far as the Chiefs, the secondary's got to come up big as much as the front line. You cannot as much as you can't let Jalen Hurts scramble, you can't let him throw the ball either.
Oh, I know.
Okay, you've got to find a good balance of you can't let him, you've got to give him so little time, but you've also got to give him nothing in the outfield to go to. And that's where the Chiefs struggle. So, again, the Chiefs are a really good blitzing team, but if you blitz Jalen Hurts, I guarantee you he'll find somebody.
Yeah, they still have Kenny Clark and no. They still have Frank Clark
and Chris Jones.
And Chris Jones, yes.
And Chris Jones is the undeniable leader of that defense. Okay.
Oh yeah.
He's the only thing on that defense that's legit.
It wasn't also like 2 weeks ago that he got his first playoff sack too.
Yeah. But but I will say the key for the Eagles is you cannot spot the Chiefs' points. Okay, it's a dangerous game. You got to contain. To me, if you can contain Patrick Mahomes to 3 scores, I think if you can contain him to 3 scores, I think you can find a way on offense.
Right. I will say this now. I think the Eagles need to do anything that they in their power to keep Mahomes off the field. If they can do that, I think they can get the win. But if you keep Mahomes on that field, he's going to torch up the Eagles defense.
And stay on your toes on defense. I think that's my biggest takeaways here is just on defense. Stay on your toes. Because we know what this Chiefs offense is capable of. We know how creative Andy Reid can be. You can't let Andy Reid get creative. You gotta stuff him. You gotta stuff Mahomes early. You gotta prevent him from getting those creative plays to work.
You know what they say: defense wins championships. And in the end of the day, you don't know it's going to be the better defense that's going to win,
Hmm.
whatever team the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Can it be the Eagles? Can it be the Chiefs? I mean, Chiefs defense looked very dominant against the Bengals.
Hmm.
In the first half, maybe second half they kind of died it down
Yeah.
because Bengals came
But
back and made it a game. But you can't count out that Chiefs defense either. But you can't count out the Eagles defense either because they have some of the best secondary in the Super Bowl heading into that game. And then also their offense is, probably one of the most dominant offenses right now too.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a very high scoring
Yeah.
offensive game, but it's going to be, in the end of the day, it's going to be what defense is really going to make the best play to help lead their team to a championship victory.
I think what it's going to come down to is who has the ball last.
Yeah,
At the end of the
I
day.
can see that. I can definitely see that.
Because let's face it, if you spot Patrick Mahomes the ball with 2 minutes or less, he's going to find a way to run this clock down and win the game.
Right.
I feel like if you give the ball to Jalen Hurts at the end, he's the find a way guy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he could make it happen. But I do feel it's going to be a back and forth. I feel it's going to be high scoring. And I look forward to that. I mean, that's about the only thing I look forward to because let's face it, the halftime show is going to be garbage. Rihanna.
Yeah.
At least our opinion is Rihanna's going to be garbage.
And I think it goes into our, next little point there.
Can I just say I'm looking forward to the 2 pizzas that we're getting?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Which ones are we getting again?
So we are getting a meat lovers and a garbage plate. So for those who don't live in Rochester, the garbage plate is a big staple in the Rochester community.
There it is.
Many have duplicated, but there's one original, and it is Nick Tahoe's. That is not where we're getting this from, but Guida's Pizzeria is where we're going to be getting our sheet and extra large garbage plate there. Of course, It is hamburger, home fries, mac salad, and then meat hot sauce.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Or hot dogs. You could switch for hot dogs, but any garbage plate. Pizza. So basically the pizza is the crust with all that as the toppings there. With cheese, of course. And then, of course, we got some garlic parm wings. For those who don't know.
Probably some DJ's cookies and other snacks.
Looking forward to my dip again. Not that I want to brag. But damn, I made a good pizza dip last time. So I'm ecstatic. I'm going to be doing that. Well, actually, I did it last night. I'm going to be doing it Saturday night because, unfortunately, some of us don't get the luxury of Super Bowl Sunday off. But
hey, man, I do. It's going to be nice because sometimes working 6 days in a row, and having like 2 days off afterwards feels kind of nice. Not gonna lie, but
the day after will be nice.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to the wings. I think we're gonna have buffalo and garlic parm wings.
Just garlic parm. It was too expensive to do both, so.
Just garlic parm.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fine. Garlic parm wings. Looking forward to that. Guida's does make some damn good wings.
If you're ever in Rochester, they're the place to go. I don't care how many Salvatore's ads you see; they're the best.
Now I'll tell you this now, and I know this kind of goes against what we're doing. What we're getting at the Super Bowl, but the other day I had a garbage plate from Tom Walls, and I tell you what, their meat hot sauce was some of the worst meat hot sauce ever, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for it.
If you're not going to get that, you're going to get a lawsuit for defamation, but hey.
But I don't know. It was like little too hot for my liking, and then this wasn't good. But as far as the Super Bowl goes, I'm definitely looking
Yeah.
forward to eating a good amount. I don't
Yeah.
think I'm gonna overdo it with it, but I'm probably gonna have a good, helping.
I think
Uh,
having a few drinks is going to be the go-to as well.
yeah, having a few drinks. I mean,
See,
probably like gonna do some 1911, probably some Mike's Hard Lemonade, whatever else
now,
everybody else gets.
now I'm not an alcoholic, but I will say that for me, if I can get a good buzz on and I can
I feel you
carry it
there.
through, and I can kind of carry it through most of the game, if this does go severely I mean, you guys know, obviously, I'm rooting for the Eagles. That's not necessarily my pick, but I'm rooting for the Eagles. Um, and I feel like if I get a couple drinks in me, maybe I can mellow out enough to the point where I just don't care. That's the point I just want to reach of I want to reach a point where I just don't care what's going on.
In the game.
Because I mean, if you remember the last Chiefs Super Bowl when they came back to beat the Niners, how riled up and you know, how rather upset I got. I mean, let's face it, I was very close to being the guy that throws stuff and breaks the TV. So,
Right.
we don't want to reach that point again. Same thing when Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl. So don't just say, I hate the Chiefs. Well, I did the same thing when the Patriots won every other year um, in the late 2010s. So, but
Right.
with that, so the
Um.
reason we're doing it this way this time, I just want to say we have done Twitter polls in the past of, do you think that Super Bowl Monday should be a holiday? Should this, like, what are your go-to sort of things? And in the past, we've just never received responses, so we felt maybe, open dialogue would be a better option. And of course, we hope you'll put some stuff in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening on audio, go over to the YouTube and put a comment down. Um, it's YouTube at Tinkle Sports, since now they got the little at thing on YouTube that you can use. But yeah, we hope you'll put your thoughts down. And if you have anything that's out of the ordinary, something that it's not exactly pizza and wings, that you usually do, any traditions, um, put them in the comments because that's something we're not going to get to it this year, but that's something we might consider going into next year. Put something that might intrigue pique our interests, and
Right.
hopefully we said stuff today that piques your interest. So,
Right.
because it's not just the game, it's the commercials, the god awful halftime show, and most importantly, the food, because in a way, it's a second Thanksgiving to many in the U.S. So, let's face it, it is. Minus there's no turkey, it's just pizza and wings.
Or whatever else anybody else does. I mean, sometimes it's not just pizza and wings. It could be sub platters too, and
Mhm.
and uh, and whatever else.
If I showed up to a party and I saw a sub platter, I might go in the corner and cry.
I mean, I probably would too, but there's
Actually,
certain people out there.
there's no probably. It's I would be in the corner crying. I'm sorry. Like, no offense to anybody that hosts and does that, but if you invited me and I saw no pizza, I might just go cry in the corner.
See, I would probably cry, but then just end up like sucking up and just eating like a couple subs or
Hey.
something like that. Anyway, so
Now, what would really get me to cry is if you said there's no alcohol at the party. Actually, that would
okay,
make
now
me go.
that's when I would probably just like leave and be like, okay, I'll just go somewhere else.
Actually, that's when I'd get in my car and go to the nearest convenience store and buy a couple of tall boys and drink them outside.
Yeah.
And then once
Okay.
I'm drunk enough, you're going to be going through the kitchen table. Not a foldable one, the actual kitchen table.
My God.
So, oh man. I wish we could do flag football this year. We have done that in the past as well. That used to be something we do, but
I'm off on Sunday,
um,
so
since I got to work all day,
I know.
and
That sucks, man.
let's face it, we played basketball the other day, and my ankle afterward um, just sore. But granted, I'm on my feet all day, so
Oh, honestly, like my legs and everything like felt
hmm,
hard, like just stiff. Like muscles just felt
yeah.
stiff. Like I couldn't like today I took some ibuprofen after that, but I tell you what, oh my lord, man. Before then it was like
Yeah.
I could barely move.
Welcome to Sunday morning, young old guys complaining.
Yeah.
But
I guess let's get to our predictions.
yeah, let's do it. Chiefs,
I'll let you
Eagles.
start
Eagles
first.
favored
It's
by a point
usually
and a
always
half.
me. Who you got, Brian? Eagles or Chiefs?
I kind of talked over you. My mistake. I was trying to read the spreads. Usually that's how it goes. I'm usually the one that does that. So my apologies. So I guess I'll start out the picks for once. We're doing things backward today.
Yeah,
Um,
why not?
so after I talked over Jason, but anyway, I'm gonna go. I feel like I have a jinxing power, but something just tells me, that all this stuff that's going against the Chiefs is only gonna backfire on the Eagles. I don't know, like I just feel like the Eagles are gonna pull it out by or rather, the Chiefs are gonna pull it out by 3. Um, I don't know. I just think Patrick Mahomes getting the ball at the end is dangerous. Um, let's face it, the defense is only going to stop him so many times before he just becomes an automatic touchdown machine.
Right.
Or rather, Kelsey becomes an automatic touchdown machine. Obviously, I've already said I'm rooting for the Eagles, but and I think that's the general consensus of our Super Bowl party there is that we're just all going for the Eagles.
hmm
But Jason, your turn.
To be honest with you, I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, because as a Bills fan, I've seen the Chiefs, beat up on the Bills so many damn years. Of course, this year Buffalo, lost to Cincinnati, so they didn't even have to worry about playing the Chiefs in the playoffs for once and lose to them. Except we lost to the Bengals instead, which is the first time we played the Bengals in the playoffs. But you know, I can't go behind Mahomes. I can't. I just don't want to see him win because I don't want them to say like, oh well, he's just 5 away from tying Brady. He's got
Hmm.
2 rings. It's exactly what they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about,
They
oh,
won't
he's
let it
not.
go until August.
No, absolutely not. So I want to see Jalen Hurts win it. I think he's well deserving of winning it. I think Nick Sirianni is well deserving of winning a ring. City of Philadelphia, yes, they got the sweet taste of victory 5 years ago. I think that they're going to do it again and get the Lombardi Trophy #2 for them. Jalen Hurts, I think it's going to be MVP. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going to say, honestly, I think 1.5 points is probably pretty good. I can see this probably going into overtime too, but who
Yeah.
knows?
If this
Um,
happens, if the Eagles,
so the question I have is, if this goes into overtime, would it be like the actual playoff
yeah,
rule where both teams could score a touchdown?
yeah, pretty much.
I think you're actually going to see those rules come into action in a Super Bowl.
Hmm.
I think you're going to go to overtime. Both teams are going to get possession. Go down the field, can score a touchdown, and I think whoever gets it last in OT going to win. But I think it's going to be Eagles. I say Chiefs win the coin toss in overtime, go down, score. Philadelphia's, you know, I'll say, okay, how about this? Eagles win the coin toss. They get the receive. They go down and score. Chiefs go down and score, and then I say the Eagles get the ultimate,
The final dagger.
The final dagger. So I'm gonna go Eagles in overtime.
All right. So that's our picks. But I do want to say though, if Andy Reid helps helps the Eagles win a Super Bowl, this would be the first time ever that he's done it in 2 tries.
That's terrible.
Man, I'm actually upset he didn't win it the first time with the Eagles. I'm sorry, I am.
Yeah, because they had such a great team back in 2004.
Yeah, I think so.
Jonathan McNabb and Brian Westbrook and
And Brent Selleck, I believe too. Or maybe not him, but
maybe it wasn't. It's a very like a rookie Brent Selleck or something like that.
But it'll be fun to watch. And of course, if the Eagles do win, you might want to watch Jimmy Fallon on Monday night because I'm sure the Roots are going to be having a blast with this one. Because, I mean, the Roots last time the Eagles won, they went crazy all week. Of course, for those who don't know the Roots, Jimmy Fallon's house band is from Philadelphia. So,
yeah. I mean, they very well might.
But with that, before we get on to Tinkle on this, we mentioned Nick Sirianni earlier. Can I just say how fucked up reporters are nowadays? I just want to call out journalists before we get on to that and before we get on to what's coming up on our shows this week. But a reporter asked Nick Sirianni, I don't even know if this qualifies as a runner-up for Tinkle on this, but a reporter asked Nick Sirianni what Eagles player he wouldn't allow to date his daughter. Now, if Nick Sirianni was like 20 years older and had an adult child, this would be a very valid question as kind of a funny question that, the reporters like to ask. His daughter's 5 fucking years old.
That's why I said in the group chat, I'm like, the reporters really had to do their research before they ask stupid questions like that, because you could probably find it on like, I don't know, fucking Wikipedia or something like that and see like how old, his children are. 'Cause I'm pretty sure it'll say something like children and then when they're born and whatnot, and and find out that they're only 5 years old. Because now it makes the reporter look like he's a fucking pedophile, and then it also makes the reporter look fucking dumb as hell, even asking a question like that. So I just want to know what the hell was going through that reporter's mind to even ask something like that. 1 and 2, it seems very insensitive for a reporter to even ask something like that, because first off, you should be focusing on asking them sports-related questions, not one about...
Look, if you want to ask them goofy questions to lighten the mood, do your fucking research before you do it. That's all I ask. Okay, we can have fun. We can ask lighthearted questions because, it doesn't have to all be serious this week.
Right.
But be fucking smart about it. Oh my gosh. But I got no words for that. But I will say the quality of journalism has just gone down.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Okay,
I can see why players nowadays get pissed at reporters nowadays because they just don't ask ridiculous questions and they just don't know. They don't do any kind of research before they ask these players questions.
Another thing that only Rochester people will know: not everybody can be a Doug Emblidge, a Ginny Ryan, a Donnell Hart, or even for sports wise, a Mike Catalana. Not everybody can be those guys.
Right.
Okay, because at least they don't ask the stupid fucking questions. So, but with that, let's get on to the actual Tinkle on this. Vermont and Maine played a matchup, of course, I believe interconference. Well, the game got delayed, not for an injury, not for, anything, you know, player related, but for the court falling apart mid game. Okay, this is
I
something you
want to
just
know
don't
how
see
that's
every.
even possible.
See, we had Shaq for years breaking backboards that would delay games, but this takes the cake. Um,
I don't know whose court was it, Vermont's or
it
Maine's?
had to. It looked like it was Vermont's, but I don't know. But either way, whatever court they were on, to the people who built it, tinkle on this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, whoever it was, fix your fucking court. One and two, fix your fucking team or fix your damn freaking arena or
Yeah.
stadium, whatever you want to fucking call it at this point. Because you know what, you put so much freaking money into the program as it is anyway, so you might as well fucking fix your goddamn courts, and then
Hmm.
your players and your kids don't get fucking hurt.
Yeah. Ah,
Because
this
what if that was to fall apart and someone freaking fell, slipped, and freaking cracked their skull open?
or sprained an ankle.
Yeah, exactly. Because then that would have
Hmm.
fallen on the program, fallen on the head coach, fallen on whoever owns the.
Oh, it would have fallen on the university, is what it would have done.
Yeah, it would have fallen
More
on
than
what?
anything. But yeah. So tinkle on this,
Exactly.
whichever university ran that game. Jason, what is coming up on No Final Bell this week?
So yeah, we actually had a wrestler that got to 50-0 before losing and everything. We got a bloodbath battle, just about between Samoa Joe and Darby Allin. Congratulations to Samoa Joe for being winning back the TNT Championship. And tell you what, John Moxley and Hangman Page has some bad blood against each other. This rivalry is very hot right now. It's going to probably lead into the pay-per-view. So definitely look forward to it. Go ahead and watch episode 69 and 70 as they're both
69.
on right now. 69 is on both Facebook Watch and YouTube. 70 is so far just on YouTube. It will be on Facebook Watch probably within, while this is uploaded, it will be out on Facebook Watch. So make sure to watch both of those on both Facebook Watch and YouTube. What's coming up on Out of Turn 4?
Yeah, so Daytona 500 week is upon us. Of course, starting Wednesday, we'll have NASCAR Cup Series qualifying. Then Thursday, the duels. We did get a new entry into the Daytona 500 this past week, at least before we were recording. IndyCar driver Connor Daly will be attempting his first Daytona 500. And of course, for those who don't know Connor Daly, he is very well respected in the motorsports community by fans. Big time Twitch guy. And of course, just really good with the fans. And I can vouch for that. I've met Connor Daly 2 or 3 times. He's carried on conversations with me like he's my best friend. So, great guy, stand up driver, really cares about the fans. And of course, to see him, of course, he's going to have to make the field. And of course, our show happens to fall on Friday this week because of the Daytona Speed Week stuff that's leading up into it on Wednesday, Thursday. So we're going to have a special. We'll try to recap some of the clash as well, or as I want to call it, the crash at the Coliseum, because that's literally all they did for 4 or 5 hours. But again, that'll come up. So we'll have our 500 special and NASCAR season preview show. That'll be Friday at noon Eastern. So join me for lunch here on YouTube and Facebook Watch for Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. And then we will be back to our Tuesday slot starting the following week. And that'll be normal after that. Unless, of course, we will have another special later down the road. But still, tune in for that. Tune in for No Final Bell. Next week when we come back, we will have our Super Bowl recap to start. And then, of course, no live show tonight. We're going to be probably passed out or just leaving our friend's house. We don't... borderline... Our point being, we don't want to be up late. So, we're not going to be up late. So, with that, thank you for watching. We'll see you next Sunday. Till then, goodbye, everyone.